An office boy. A jobless man applied for the position of office boy at a very big company. The employer interviewed him. Then a test, clean the floor, you are hired. The employer said, give me your email address and I will send you the application to fill as well as when you will start. The man replied, I don't have a computer, neither an email. I am sorry, said the employer. If you don't have an email, that means you do not exist, and who does not exist cannot have the job. The man left with no hope. He didn't know what to do with only 10 US dollars in his pocket. He then decided to go to the supermarket, bought a 10 kg tomato crate, then sold the tomatoes door to door. In less than 2 hours, he succeeded and doubled his capital. He repeated the operation 3 times and returned home with 60 US dollars. The man realized that he could survive by this way and started to go every day earlier and returned late. Thus, his money doubled or tripled every day. Shortly later, he bought a cart, then a truck, and then he had his own fleet of delivery vehicles. 5 years later, the man's company was one of the biggest food retailers. He started to plan his family's future and decided to have a life insurance. He called an insurance broker and chose a protection plan. When the conversation was concluded, the broker asked him his email. The man replied, I don't have an email. The broker replied curiously, you don't have an email and yet have succeeded to build an empire. Do you imagine what you could have done if you had an email? The man paused for a while and replied, an office boy, author unknown. Don't be discouraged if something is not in your favor today. Better opportunities are waiting ahead. Attitude, one of life's choice. My wife, Tere, and I purchased a new car in December. Even though we had tickets to fly from California to Houston to visit her family for Christmas, we decided to drive to Texas to break in the new car. We packed the car and took off for a wonderful week with Grandma. We had a wonderful time and stayed to the last possible minute visiting with Grandma. On the return trip, we needed to get home in a hurry, so we drove straight through one person driving while the other one slept. After driving in a hard rain for several hours, we arrived home late at night. We were tired and ready for a hot shower and a soft bed. I had the feeling that no matter how tired we were, we should unpack the car that night, but all Terry wanted was a hot shower and soft bed. So we decided to wait and unload the car in the morning. At 7 o'clock in the morning, we got up refreshed and ready to unpack the car. When we opened the front door, there was no car in the driveway. Tere and I looked at each other, looked back at the driveway, and looked at each other again. Then Tere asked this wonderful question, well, where did you park the car? Laughing, I answered, right in the driveway. Now we knew where we had parked the car, but we still walked outside, hoping that maybe the car had miraculously backed out of the driveway and parked itself by the curb, but it hadn't. Stunned, we called the police and filed a report that activated our high-tech tracking system to be on safe side. I also called the tracking system company. They assured me they had a 90% recovery rate within 2 hours. In 2 hours, I called again and asked, where is my car? We haven't found it yet, Mr. Harris, but we have a 94% rate recovery within 4 hours. 2 more hours passed. I called again and asked, where is my car? Again, they answered, we haven't found it yet, but we have a 90% recovery rate of finding it within 8 hours. At that point, I told them, Your percentage rate means nothing to me when I am in the small percentage, so call me when you find it. Later that day, a commercial aired on telephone with the automaker asking, "Wouldn't you like to have this car in your driveway?" I responded, "Sure, I would. I had one yesterday." As the day unfolded, Terry became increasingly upset as she remembered more and more of what had been in the car. Our wedding album, irreplaceable family photos from past generations, clothes, all of our camera equipment, my wallet, and our checkbooks, just to name a few. These were items of little importance to our survival, yet they seemed of major importance at that moment. Anxious and frustrated, Tere asked me, "How can you joke about this when all of these things and our brand new car are missing?" I looked at her and said, "Honey, we can have a stolen car and be all upset, or we can have a stolen car and be happy. Either way, we have a stolen car." I truly believe our attitudes and moods are choices, and right now I choose to be happy. 5 days later, our car was returned without a trace of any of our belongings, and with over $3,000 worth of damage to the car. I took it to the dealer for repair and was happy to hear they would have it back to us within a week. At the end of that week, I dropped off the rental and picked up our car. I was excited and relieved to have our own car back. Unfortunately, these feelings were short lived. On the way home, I rear ended another car right at our freeway exit ramp. It didn't hurt that car I ran into, but it sure hurt ours. Another $3,000 worth of damage and another insurance claim. I managed to drive the car into our driveway, but when I got out to survey the damage, the left front tire went flat. As I was standing in the driveway looking at the car, kicking myself in tail for hitting the other car, Terry arrived home. She walked up to me, looked at the car, and then at me. Seeing I was beating myself up, she put her arm around me and said, "Honey, we can have a wrecked car and be all upset, or we can have a wrecked car and be happy. Either way, we have a wrecked car, so let's choose to be happy." I surrendered with a hearty laugh, and we went on to have a wonderful evening together. Bank account. Imagine there is a bank which credits your account each morning with rupees 86,400, carries over no balance from day to day, allows you to keep no cash balance, and every evening cancels whatever part of the amount you had failed to use during the day. What would you do? Draw out every penance, of course. Well, everything has such a bank, its name is time. Every morning it credits you with 86,400 seconds. Every night it writes off as lost whatever of this you have failed to invest to good purpose. It carries over no balance, it allows no overdraft. Each day it opens a new account for you. Each night it burns the records of the day. If you fail to use the day's deposit, the loss is yours. There is no going back, there is no drawing against the tomorrow. Therefore, there is never not enough time or too much time. Time management is decided by us alone and nobody else. It is never the case of us not having enough time to do things, but the case of whether we want to do it.